This is episode 3 of season 3 with Cultivating Guts and special guest Megan Holly. Hello, it's Tiffany, and welcome back to Cultivating Guts, a podcast where we discuss gardening, homesteading, and following our intuition. Super excited to be back with you guys this week. We've had a lot of fun over the last week or so. We've been at gymnastics competitions. We finally have some greenhouse clean and ready for seed starting, and it's warming up finally in Chicagoland. So it has been a good week. I am simultaneously video recording. So if you want to see the podcast in person on video, of course, right? YouTube and Spotify, you'll find video there. So hello, it's like we're Zooming or we're besties. You can head over to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Tiffany Hinton. And so this podcast is with my branding photographer, Megan Holly. Super excited that she's on. She does branding coaching. She's totally like who she is, right? And I'll introduce her when we get going, but we talk about how to be yourself, how being yourself can actually build your confidence, build your brand, make you have fun. We talk about a lot of different topics. It's a super fun podcast, lots of energy. I am excited for you to join the conversation with us today on Cultivating Guts. Before we get started, I want to ask you for a huge favor to subscribe, rate, and review the Cultivating Guts podcast. Send me a screenshot of your review to tiffany@cultivatingguts.com, and I will send you our free garden planner course, and it comes with downloads, videos, and so much more. As you're listening, if you have a favorite part, go ahead and screenshot that. Tag at me on Instagram at I am Tiffany Hinton. I love reposting, and I'm excited to hear what you think of today's podcast. I'm super grateful for you and all of our amazing listeners for helping us grow the podcast over the last 2 years and sharing it with more people. And before we head into the show, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Cultivating Guts. Have you wished that you could garden but not be overwhelmed, or maybe you don't know where to start and you really just want to learn how to get started? Well, you're in the right place. I'm a certified garden coach, and I would love to help you get started, whether it's in your own backyard or on Zoom. I love to teach people how to heal the soil from chemical treatments, traditional lawn care that has killed the natural biome of the soil, causing the gardens to produce less and enjoy more as you learn how to use biodynamic gardening to regenerate your soil, but also to increase your garden's production. Honestly, it is a passion of mine. I grew up, a child of farmers, people that actually at one point owned a fertilizer company. So I know firsthand what it can do to the soil, how it can create a monoculture. And when you decide to have a backyard garden, all the work that can go into rebuilding the soil in order for you to have a fruitful produce and production and all the different components. I've spent over 10 years building our suburban homestead and learning along the way. I've been gardening for over 40 years. Yes. And it's intuitive, but it's also this huge passion. Cultivating Guts, when you have a garden consult with me and you sign up for garden coaching, we remove the frustration and we make it possible for you to have your dream garden, whether it's raised bed gardens or a poterage, which is, a pot garden, or a kitchen garden, or an herb garden, which is one of my favorites to build, where you can go out and pick medicinal herbs and make teas and tinctures right from your own backyard. It's super easy. We set it all up and you see a garden plan, and then there's an installation day, and it is where it's a partnership. So all along the way, you are learning. The very first step is a 1-hour consultation with me. You get to pick the perfect location for your biodynamic moon garden. Then I work with you to find, to make sure it is the right location. We look at where the sun is throughout the day. We learn about your individual challenges and what are your dreams. Then we design and we create an estimate and a map to get moving with the garden installation. Once this is all approved, we'll schedule an assisted installation day, and I will come out and help you if you are local to the Prospect Heights area, and I'll help you get your garden all set up. It's truly amazing. With that, guys, if you're interested, I would invite you to hop over to www.cultivatingguts.com. Sign up for a garden consultation today. Let's get that booked. I can only do 2 a month. So we do have 2 in February and 2 in January still open. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this is what I need, hop over to www.cultivatingguts.com and get on my calendar, and we'll get started building and mapping out your dream. Hey guys, welcome back to Cultivating Guts. Super, super fun and exciting. We have Megan Holly here with us today. And I'm going to do a little short intro of Megan, and then I'll let her do her full intro. But Megan has become our family's favorite photographer, my favorite branding photographer. I've actually reached out to her for branding help and some stuff when we were launching new products last year and some feedback. And she's just this bubble of light, and it is amazing. And I apologize if you can hear the construction, but it's still happening in our house. So like she just shows up, the girls are relaxed, or she shows up and we just create together, and all the images are always so beautiful. They go so well with the branding. If you've ever seen any of our Instagram or any of the new stuff, it's all Megan behind the camera. And but I know she does a lot more than just photography as well. She has her own podcast. She also does a lot of empowerment, business empowerment, women empowerment for businesses. And so, Megan, why don't you give us a real intro? But that's how I would introduce you to somebody.
Well, I think it was a beautiful intro. So thank you. And thank you so much for having me here. I love being able to connect with you. I've loved like our relationship growing over the last few years as well, and getting to see you do the beautiful things out there that you are doing. And so thank you for having me. But yes, as Tiffany said, I am Megan, Megan Holly, as I am more affectionately known as, which fun fact, Holly is actually my middle name, not my last name, which is a big, huge, like aha moment for a lot of people. Like, wait, what? But anyways, so yes, I'm a branding photographer and confidence coach. So I work with predominantly women in business who are working to build their brand, and they are out there wanting to do better, connect better, and have more of those ideal flow of clients and all that goodness coming into them. The coaching side comes in because when I was doing photography with so many different people with all different walks of life, different stories, different industries, I realized that there was a deficit of them feeling confident, A, in front of the camera, but also B, after the fact. Like, how do I use these better?
Yeah.
How do I step into my story better, aside from the photos, right? Just in general, how do I step into my business and my message and my mission bigger? So the coaching side kind of came naturally over time because I saw a need for it. People were asking about it. And so now here it is, right? And so aside from that, yes, I do also have a podcast, and then I do some speaking and workshops and things like that for women in business as well. So just kind of a little fun look at me. And then from the personal side of things, I'm married. I have 2 dogs. I love DIYing and painting and doing all that kind of fun stuff around the house. It's the way I decompress. So yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So we are just going to have a conversation. So if you're listening to the podcast and this goes, I don't know where, that's what we're intending. So one of I do want to kind of think a little bit and talk a little bit about how we like grow into our brands, because I've been an entrepreneur for, oh my gosh, Frankie's going to be 13. So 15 years, give or take.
Nice.
And with GF Mom Certified, it was a very structured brand, which is now closed, but it was severely structured to the point where we had a PR coach. I had somebody who told me what to wear, and we had brands that would pay us for, which is awesome, for influencer work, but then they dictated the images.
Yeah.
They kind of even dictated sometimes the background, the settings, the clothing, certain color schemes, and it doesn't give you the freedom to create. And when we launched Cultivating Guts, I remember calling Megan and I was like, I know it's snowing, but we need to shoot witches in shorts in a garden. And she's like, okay, I'm in. And if anybody else probably had heard that, like, witches in shorts in a garden, like, what the heck are you talking about? But I like that initial image we still use today. And it's like me and my daughters in overalls, some in short overalls with rubber boots and these black pointy witch caps, and there's snow on the garden.
Yeah.
It's been used over and over again. But how do you get people kind of into, like, for me, it was embracing that inner witch, embracing
Hmm.
that inner, that spirit that was just waiting to get out, that playful child.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that you help? Like, like, how do you do that with others?
Yeah. I think that's a really great question because we do evolve, just naturally in life we evolve. Whether you are a business owner or not, you're shifting and changing, and sometimes it's more recognizable and sometimes it's not. But that being said, especially when you're in a business, it's growing and shifting. We find different pockets of ourselves and different spaces that we never knew, or maybe we did know, but we kind of squished them down or weren't sure how they existed in the world better. So, like for your example, I've loved your evolution of just being more and more comfortable and showing up in that way. And so I myself have went through that transformation too. Many years ago, I started as kind of the quintessential what people think of when they think of photographers. I did all of it, any
Mhm.
and all of it. And now my biggest focus is the business and branding work. I still do some portrait work, but it's shifted a lot. It's changed and it's a little bit more, just in a different vein, if you will.
Yeah.
So for people who are out there and they are going, I'm wanting more, or I'm feeling like I could go in a different direction, or I'm feeling lackluster maybe in where I'm going with this. And how do you get there, right? So a couple things I kind of remind people of is just listening to that quiet inner voice, right? What keeps coming up for you? What do you keep wanting to do more of that you don't get to do in your daily ins and outs of running your business? Maybe listen to that and kind of go, oh, maybe that is the direction I want to go. Sometimes we think, oh, that's too far off the beaten path of where I'm at now. So I can't do that. It's too confusing. And right, yes, I'm not saying like go in and like make your social media or your website confusing, but listen to it first and
Mhm.
foremost, and then start seeing, like, reverse engineer, what would that look like if I were to start pivoting into that area. Start asking yourself some questions like, what would I offer? What would I do? What components or resources would I need? The other thing to do is, when it's kind of on the opposite side. So listen to the things that you're being drawn to more and seeing what you can create from it, but also listen to the things that you're going, like, driving home from, the client that you're
Mm.
driving home from and going, why do I still do this? Why do I offer this? Why do, listen to that side of it too, because it might be a very clear picture of going, that's not meant for you anymore. And it doesn't mean you have to immediately stop
Yeah.
offering it, because it might be the meat and potatoes of what brings an income in, for
Mhm.
instance. Don't just like halt, completely, but start again, reverse engineering of like, how do I do less of this and more of that? And then eventually they'll meet in the middle, which is a cool thing to come to life. So that's where I would say to start if you're feeling that way, or maybe
Okay.
even people who are like, I'm in a solid spot, but there's still things I want to keep cultivating bigger. Keep those
Yeah.
questions at the forefront of your mind, really.
I like it. Um, okay. Like, where do I even go next? I have like so much we could talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. So when, and I'm going to use myself as an example through most of this podcast because that's like my experience, and
Yeah.
that's just easy, right? For anybody, whenever you're telling a story, to talk about your own experiences. But one of the other things that I started to do intentionally with the color scheme, even like today, it's so funny as I'm looking at myself in the camera, I'm like, oh yeah, was pick up clothing, whether it was costume clothing or actual overalls or like a puffy vest or scarves that were in my brand colors, so that
Yes.
naturally, as you look at the social profile or you're building a website or you're doing right TikToks or whatever you're doing, the colors start to kind of just jive and it becomes synonymous with your branding or with your logo.
Yes.
Um, do you have other suggestions along that line?
I do. I think it's one of those things where we sorry, something just went on. So we
It's a
have to
dance
be,
party.
yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know what's clicking on my phone over here. Um, we need to be more excited about just being like gung ho about who we are.
Mhm.
As you know, Tiffany, like, because you've been in my world, like, I am about color and I'm about sparkle, and disco is a big huge, like, disco balls and shiny, and all of that
Yeah.
is a big part of who I am as a person. Take out my business, take out all of that. That's just kind of who I am. But And for a long time, I had it in my business, but it wasn't as like, wow, in your face, right? Like, here
Yeah.
I am. And the minute I started being more comfortable with being like, yeah, I've got a disco ball hanging in my planter over here, and I like to wear bright colors, I have purple hair, and owning it more and more and more, and just allowing that to be the forefront of the photos, my reels, my, the images that I create, my podcast cover, all of it. The more that you're just open to letting yourself be open, the more that it's going to be easy to feel comfortable, with yourself and build
Mhm.
more confidence. And it takes time, right? There's still times, even when we kind of know who we are and how we want to show up, or the colors that are on brand for us or feel good for us. It still takes, there's
Mhm.
still days when we want to go and hide, right? But the more you do it, the
Oh,
more
yeah.
easier it gets. Just like anything, it's building a muscle, it's
The
building prep.
other piece of that too is we have to show up for ourselves. We can't show up just because we feel that's what somebody wants. So
Yeah.
whether it's embracing certain colors or putting on the witch hat or embracing all of that, you can't let, I'm going to call it cancel culture,
Yeah. Yeah.
stop you because it'll impact your business. It'll impact your life. It'll impact a lot of stuff. And so I
Absolutely.
love that. Yeah. I love the fact that even as yourself, you show up with the purple hair, the bright clothes,
Yeah.
like I said, I introduced you as this bouncing bubble because
Yeah.
that to me is like this joy and like
Yeah.
just comes out. But a lot of women, I feel, and I see it, it's not just that I feel it, but I see it, are like, oh, well, that's going to offend so and so,
Hmm.
or that's going to do this. And real case example, I went down south, visited family over Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
somebody pulled me aside and very quietly said, I think you're too witchy. You need to tone it down. And I was like, thanks for your opinion, but I'm me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that they talked to me the rest of the Thanksgiving, but that was okay.
Yeah.
Um, and it's the same in our networks or in our, when you start to magnetize your people, you feel better.
Yes.
And instead of trying to appease every little person out there.
Yes, because you
Um,
can't. You literally physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically cannot like please and appease every single
yeah.
person on this walking planet, and nor should any of us want that, right? Because that's exhausting to try to be all the things. And in fact, it kind of comes down to then if you are, and it's okay to be a chameleon, right? We are different versions and layers of ourselves throughout our life and our business. Like we are like the same person that, you know, goes to a in-person networking meeting, for instance, or gets on a stage is a different person than me being like behind the scenes answering emails and quietly editing or whatever. They're two slightly different versions of myself, still the same person, different versions. But what I'm getting at is chameleon in that realm is good and normal and healthy. But when you are just trying to be like, oh well, I better talk like this over here, and I better tone down my witchiness over there, and I better, you know what, oh maybe I should, not wear a bright lip because it might make somebody feel uncomfortable over there, like then we're being inauthentic to ourselves, and that's never going to feel good. And that's not something I want. For instance, I don't have children, but any, like, all my nieces and nephews, I don't want them to see me toning myself down because I'm trying to be safe, because I don't want that for them, right? I don't want the next generations to
Right.
live in that world that they have to be something that they aren't. And so I think what happens is when you start to be okay with it, yes, you're going to have people who kind of go, hey, you're being a little too whatever, but that's just not your person. And they can support from afar, or maybe they don't support at
Mm-hmm.
all. And that's okay too.
It's all good.
I've had a
Yeah.
person recently tell me they are, a beautiful human in my life, and I know them well, and we both, we love and support each other. But they said, somebody the other day came and we were talking, and somehow you came up in conversation, and they said, oh, I don't know, some of her content really, like, it makes me feel like, oh, like whatever. But what we got to the bottom of was like, it made them feel like, oh, like I don't feel as safe and confident in myself because I don't
I was creating a mirror.
yeah, I don't know who I am. And she
Yeah.
feels like she knows who she is right now, at least in this season. I do. But,
Yeah.
2 days from now, I might not, right? Um, and we got to the bottom of it. She goes, you know what, I'm gonna go back and like have a kind of an intimate conversation with them, because I want them to self-reflect that, like, what is it that maybe you're wanting more of, or that what did it bring
Mhm.
up for you? So when I'm triggered by somebody,
Yeah.
I think, what is it about this person? Maybe it's just truly they're not my people. That's okay. But sometimes it's just that I have a lesson to learn of like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. So that's what I would urge people to do if they are like on that brink of like, I really want to wholeheartedly love myself more and be kind to myself in the way of putting myself out there differently. Be okay with not being everybody's cup of tea. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't like coffee, but I
Yeah.
love tea. So I'm not gonna, like, right. I'm already outing like a whole world of things because I don't drink coffee, and it's okay. Same thing with us and our person and our personal brand.
Exactly. Yeah. Like being who we are in the moment, all the moments, it's so important. Okay, so where do we want to go next? Hmm.
I know, it's like so many different
um,
ways.
there's so much, so much. It's so fun. Um, I have a couple of these are more just random questions. I don't even know. We should like call it some sort of game show. But like, what's your favorite type of photo to take?
Ooh. Well, I love thinking outside the box. So I love trying to find a new or different perspective of maybe a photo that's already been done, right? So when you work with, like, we work together a lot of times, right? So it's like, how do we
Hmm.
keep, cultivating something that A, still feels in line with the brand, but also still like maybe pushes the envelope sometimes, right? So like,
Yeah.
for instance, when we did the last one, we were in that field, right?
Yeah.
Shooting through like a flower or shooting a different
Oh my God. Those images, like, they're amazing.
those are like just so unique, just because you are like, right, like what you had on, like your essence, what you were going for is unique. But then I tried to
Yeah.
think, okay, how can we make the person who's looking at the visual also go, what the heck, what's going on, like, so shooting through and like finding a different perspective, those are fun. So for me it's kind of like that side of things, but also just
Hmm.
in general, I love like the people that I love working with and capturing the most are people who are creatives and have a different view on life and are helpers or healers in some way, because there's so many layers to those people.
Hmm.
They're like, it's endless what we can create, and you're never going to be able to get
Yeah.
all the different things we can in one shoot or even 20 shoots, because you're always evolving, which I think is cool. So for me, that's where I go. It's kind of like the perspective in which we're coming from for the photos, and then like the type of people that I love capturing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where's your favorite place to shoot?
Oh gosh. That's a hard one, because I love the challenge of so many different things. Like, it puts me in a space where I'm always wanting to learn too. I really am a sucker though for like nature. I really am,
Okay.
I think like it's not necessarily always the right space for people like in their business, but there's a lot of people that it is too. So for me, like shooting in nature in general is just, it's just beautiful. There's so much you can do. There's so many different things you can bring to life, even in the winter. I think people shy away
Yeah.
from, oh, the snow and the that, but there can be beauty in that too. I mean, I get it. It's cold and you might not want to be out there for an
Hmm.
hour, but can we go out for 15 minutes and grab a few things? I know you're great about that, because you're like one with the world around you. So you're like, let's
Yeah.
embrace it. What's the worst that can happen in 20 minutes? We can go inside and warm up. It's fine. Right. But I think like embracing that around us. I am also a sucker for just like a unique space that maybe has some character to it. So, like a cool lofty building that has, maybe like
Mm.
brick, and then maybe it's got some interesting windows and things like that. Those
Hmm.
things kind of are fun to me.
They have that artistic element in the
Yeah. And
architecture.
you then it's like
Yeah.
I want to like shove somebody in like a cool corner and like try to do something different or whatever. So that would be the other caveat of where I love
Okay.
to shoot, because it's a challenge too. Sometimes you're like, what am I doing with
Yeah.
this space? There's so many things to do, but yet where do we start, kind of a thing. So yeah,
That is awesome. Oh my gosh.
it's fun.
Um, how do you bring like this spirituality component to your business?
Yeah. So for me, like in my world, I talk a lot about, mindfulness and movement, and how music, for instance, which is kind of funny that music just started, playing on my phone, because it's like, yeah, that makes sense in my life. Um, to me, that all is part of my spirituality, is being in tune and grounded within ourselves, but then also from something bigger, no matter what we believe in, no matter who or how we connect with the bigger entities around us. For me, it is, like the universe and spirit and things like that. But for somebody else, it might be different. And that is totally great. I think what it is finding comfort in whatever that is. So for me personally, on a regular basis, I really try to do bring down like that grounding within like my gratitude journal, and moving my body a little bit. Like this morning, I put on some music and I was moving, and I feel the most like grounded in spirituality when I'm doing things that make me feel lifted and energized. The other thing I really am working to do is start having like different card decks that are inspirational. They have just like a little moment,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing them to sessions. So I'm hoping that I can like remember like that little entity and like start that, like making that a routine, and
Yeah.
just saying like, let's take 2 minutes, because people are always fast paced, they want to just get in, get out, and I honor that. I want to honor time, but if we can take 2 minutes for somebody to pull a card, and it might say something like, I am grounded in my voice, or whatever, I don't know, I'm just thinking of a random thing,
Yeah.
and then we read the back of it together, and we take a deep breath, and then we go into the photo session. But just for people to, again, like take a moment to just
I love that.
be one with like themselves, with us together
Yeah.
as like the crew that's working in that moment, if you will, and then like the bigger picture of like, I'm safe to just feel this moment. And who knows, like this is new this year, so I haven't really done it too much with any clients yet, but who knows if there's just a moment of like conversation that needed to happen between us, that somebody needed, or maybe I needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we both can
Yeah.
gain beauty from it. So yeah, those are kind of some little things that I'm excited
That is
about
so
expanding. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Maybe one day I'll create a new deck. That's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Somebody put that out there a while ago, and I was like, we'll see.
Right.
Okay. So I have one last question for
Yeah.
you. How do you cultivate guts every day in your life?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh my gosh. For me, it is listening to the nudges. And I will tell you, as somebody who has, in all the decades of my life, has had to battle a lot of self-worth, a lot of anxiety, struggles as well. It's very funny to look back on my life, because I think, wow, I've lived a bigger life than I ever thought I would, knowing how small and scared I felt for a lot of my life, and still do sometimes, right? Still absolutely do. I am not about like putting on a facade that like, oh, I've made it through anxiety. No, it is still very much a constant thing that's in my life. And there's days when it's better and days when it's worse. But that being said, I cultivate guts through knowing that that's only a piece of me. It is not all of me. I'm not like, hi, I'm Megan and I have anxiety. It is, hi, I'm Megan and sometimes I feel anxious, right? Kind of a thing. I've shifted that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I cultivate guts by putting myself in places or spaces that continuously prove that side wrong. Like, I'm about to be on a
Yeah.
stage in front of 600 people in a couple months, and that scares me. Thank
Congratulations.
you. It's very scary. It's anxiety inducing. I've had like
Yeah.
my stomach drop about 27 different times in the last like month, just thinking about it. It's like whoop, like as soon as I even think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall over, right? I've just been like nervous, but I'm cultivating guts by going, nope, this is a really like safe space to be. It's going to stretch
Mm-hmm.
me. It's going to make me learn new things about me, but I'm going to do it. So for me, it's just putting myself into safe spaces, safe containers, if you will, of new experiences, new opportunities, always learning and cultivating my guts through that of like, how do I be a better person? How do I be a better photographer, a better coach, just a better human in general? I always want to be learning, right? And then surrounding myself, right, with new people. I think I used to be that mindset of, I've got all the good friends in my life, I've got them all. I don't need any more. But then I
Mm,
start meeting amazing people through the work that I get to do. And I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, I was thinking very small. Now, I, of course, have my near and dear longtime friends in my life, but I've expanded and found new amazing people. And I feel like I cultivate guts through that, because you're opening yourself up to learning a lot more when you put more people in your life. For better or
Absolutely.
for worse sometimes. Sometimes you learn hard stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yes.
Through people like, "Oh, thank you for that," learning moment, so and so. No. Which is a beautiful thing. So those are the ways that I cultivate gods of just kind of, defying the odds and defying the things that we can do to find the newest kind of layer of ourselves.
It's beautiful. How can people find you
Yeah.
if they want to work with you?
Yeah, so people can find me. I hang out on multiple different social medias. So my handle on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn is all Megan Holly Creates. So if you pop that into any of those, you will stumble upon me. You can't miss me. There's a lot of, again, sparkle and color. So you know you're in the right place if you find that. My website is also littlepowerhousebranding.com. So you can see and get a hold of me any which way there as well. See some of my work, get on a consult, all of that good stuff. And yeah, so those are kind of the main places you can connect with me.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. This has been
Yes.
wonderful and really appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you too, Tiffany. And thank you for having me and just having this great little conversation.
It's been amazing. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Share with me what your favorite part was. What did you pick up and learn? Did you get any great advice through the conversation with Megan? Ask me any questions. I'm here for you, and I'm excited to see your benefits. Satnam. Love you guys. So if you love this episode, remember to share it with your friends and family. Send it to anyone who may love the inspiration and information that we shared today in the podcast. To get my newest book, our free ebook, Biodynamic Moon Gardening, visit my website and download it there right at the top, www.cultivatingguts.com. I also want to let you know we have our February New Moon Circle open for women, Chicagoland area. I host it on a homestead. We're getting together on Saturday, February 10th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a great time to start manifesting. We'll do a little bit of breath work, some Kundalini yoga. We write down our manifestations, we make new moon wishes, and we do an herbal craft together every single new moon circle that we get together. It's a great, great experience to connect deeper with Mother Earth, to find other women that are like-minded, and to grow in our community with us. Super powerful, powerful container that we have. So I would love if you feel called for you to sign up for that and join us on February 10th. If you are ready to start gardening and over with the snow, I totally feel you and I understand you. To get all the details, you can head over to www.cultivatingguts.com. You will find our free ebook, you'll find my gardening masterclass, and you'll find a link so you can sign up for a garden coaching consult. I would love to help you get going, growing your own food, but also planning the best garden of your life with the most abundance and less stress.